Next up, we have got Dimitrie and Virginia from Speckle. This is the main event, the headline act. Come on, guys, let's do this.
Shake hands.
Do you want to wear hats for this one? Like we conveniently done 4, and they still got the labels, so it means that we can sell them on our website still after.
Nice. Okay.
Second hand wool from Speckle
as well. Do I need to have this? People might want to wash them a bit.
No.
We're both huge fans of Bricks and Bites.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. We're not giving them back.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
You guys were just grilling us that we ran out of lunch boxes.
Yes. Well, at least we got hats.
Yeah.
Hey, Dimitri, just come a little closer to the mic here. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I will keep this very open. Like, what's gone? Like, SpeckleCon 2025. Tell us, like, what was the announcements? Like, what's the kind of vibe and what's going on?
Oh, we can start by.
You can summarize your presentation.
Oh wow, we almost cancelled it, or like that was one of the if you want like some controversy.
Yeah, that's true. We canceled SpeckleCon. That was my first decision I had to make as I joined the team. There was like, should we do SpeckleCon or not?
Or I was still you said.
Here we are.
It's been a good success.
I said as long as Bricks and Bites are there, we should do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think to summarize stuff, I think maybe the main headline, at least for us internally, was, we've always been a bit of an interoperability tool and kind of boxed in kind of one value proposition. And I think today we went a bit more all out on hey guys, we're actually a data platform, and that's the core of Speckle, and we built all these other things on top of what essentially is a data platform. I think, the whole conversations, we didn't mention AI much. I hope you appreciate
intelligence.
That. Yeah.
I noticed careful selection of words.
Yeah, that's all down to Virginia. So
you can blame that on me too.
Okay. I'm just a sales liability. Thank you.
So Dimitri just showed up today, right? It's just
It's also say something.
Yeah, but I think that was the big Speckle spent a long time. We always say it shouldn't be as hard to just get access to the data in AEC as it is, but that took pretty much 5 or 6 years as a company to really get that access layer in place, and now we can start doing lots of interesting things with that data and actually put it to work.
I was chatting with someone, 200 head of BIM, 250 architects in the business. He said that you've done more in the last year than in the last 4.
Yeah, that's partially true and partially false. I think visible-wise, yes, maybe. I think that comes because we have to put a lot of pieces in place when it comes to, building a bloody platform. That's a lot of work. There's a lot of things to lift. And once that's in a reasonable, good enough place, we started focusing on basically quote-unquote consumer value. So kind of all the cool charts, all the cool widgets, coming up and surfacing up that data, making it look cool, and making it essentially work for our customers. Yeah. And I think that's inherently much more visible, right? So that's why maybe it does look like, a lot has happened in the last year, but truthfully, it's a bit like the iceberg metaphor. Those, slide into some cliches. SOC took a while, right? Pen testing is a thing. So all that enterprisey stuff was a big lift. Data regionality, we've got, people come to us, yes, we're working on this project, and Middle East region, we need to host the data. And it's oh shit, now we need to re-architect everything and make it work and go planet scale and databases, whatever. So yeah, that's happened up to basically last year, which was more spelunking.
That's sexy and non-visible.
We can get more into that, but something also super exciting which has happened recently is obviously Virginia joining.
Yeah.
As head of growth.
You were head of growth. You are head of growth, but previously you were leading Autodesk's AEC data strategy.
That's right. Yes, came through an acquisition a couple of years back there.
Okay, so why did you leave Autodesk to come work at Speckle?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So I think the answer is twofold. One, I'll just repeat what Murat said earlier on in the live stream. The system is broken. Yeah, so I'm not actually from AEC originally. I come from outside the industry, but just background in B2B SaaS in general. And I think one thing when you're joining AEC is first you think you understand it, and then, you know, you go like 2 months and it's like an onion. You're like, oh, I understood nothing. And now I've been here for 10 years. So I say I know enough to, like, you know, fake that I could be a BIM manager, but
Make it. Yeah.
but yeah, I think I'm always still kind of disappointed at, and I look at this as the industry's biggest opportunity. I always joke I'll never be able to work in any other industry because everything else would just be boring after this. But data is still such a struggle for the industry. I think fundamentally it's still a relatively data immature industry. It needs more value from data, but things like databases and Python and coding and everything that we talk a lot about at SpeckleCon, because let's face it, a lot of our existing customers are very data mature. That's all still new to the industry, and I think there's a big opportunity and people are hungry for things to accelerate more quickly, and I definitely believe Speckle is to quote Murat again, Speckle is the answer, and I think Speckle is going to be the one who solves the data challenge.
Yeah, that's going to be the headline for 2026. Right?
Yeah. Speckle's the answer.
I am in 13 minutes or so going to ask you about how you take Speckle from where it is now to the grand exit.
Okay.
Save the fool.
Yes. I wanted to ask you about this reasons for the silos in the industry. What are the reasons that we have silos in the industry? Data silos.
That's I can give a very long answer here. Like that's yeah.
You just had in 13 minutes there's a question, so you
give us a summary of your PhD.
Yeah, which is something no PhD student will be ever able to do properly. So like, yeah, I think a lot of it's very funny. So like a lot of it, because there was this like 1970s study in the UK around essentially how we collaborate in the construction industry and how it goes and can we have better systems and processes. And that whole study concluded we need more money for another study. That's a classic thing, right?
That makes sense.
That's usually the case, yes. But he also said, like, basically construction is very bespoke. It's a very personal thing at the end of the day, like subcontractors, contractors. Like when you build stuff, everything is unique. It's bespoke. Processes are therefore bespoke, and we don't have essentially a meta framework to make it bespoke. Yeah. Now, then in the 80s, like people like Wortay, she was a PhD supervisor and so on, they started pioneering this thing called BIM, or like what started to became later, late 80s, yes. Like there were others as well, like Sonata, whatever, a bunch of systems. The OG goal of those things were to essentially like help everybody from architects to contractors to engineers like talk to each other more freely. But somehow, like along the way, this transformed into a massive digital bureaucracy. So like it's either the political landscape, existing vendors having their own commercial interests and so on and so forth. We ended up with a fragmented space that now is digitally fragmented. It's data fragmented. So that's probably a long-winded answer. I will.
Yeah, I do think the data, we say access, but another word is visibility. I think one thing we see as AEC has digitized is we're creating a lot more information than ever before, right, with BIM, but it's still so inaccessible. Like it's surprised me since I joined Speckle that a lot of times when we're going in and presenting to customers, we get really excited about like the data pipelines and bringing everything together and helping enable AI, to just say the AI word once on this discussion. But it's the viewer, right? It's dashboards that get people really excited because this is information that
you can understand it finally.
You can finally see it, right? Like for really since the advent of BIM, you've got this 10% of designers, right, who can open up Revit, who know how to use it. And one of the things, I'm sorry to keep quoting Suffolk, but one of the things their team has said is they actually see that as you start building these dashboards and there's more visibility, the data quality goes up because people they're like, oh, I'm actually going to get value from this, right? And this is actually going to help me make a better decision.
Like
and so
you can't measure it.
It's a positive reinforcement cycle. So I think that's where we see a lot of potential is, yes, people don't necessarily trust the data today, the more you can make it visible, the more they're actually going to want to make it better as well, and maybe even share it.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
So what do you do within Speckle to unlock this data potential?
We take it out of the host applications, basically. We kind of provide that normalizing layer of like, yeah, you can send stuff from Revit, we'll decompose it, we'll become rows in a database, etc., etc., etc. And then that's basically the secret sauce, which is in an open source repository in GitHub as well. So, well, that's it, right?
Yeah, interesting. We finished, sorry? Yeah, okay, cool. I need to find with this
We were
question.
just getting started.
Yes.
I'm just looking at the time, like...
I know how to control myself now.
So last year we done like a good long session with you and team, and you were just on this kind of like brow of commercialization.
Yeah.
So since then, you even mentioned it today, like back in the last year, that you really start to think about and accelerate it.
Yeah.
What's been going through your mind a lot in this like the last few months. So how has that gone since like back then? Like you're open source, people had the kind of interpretation that they use the software without a cost. Yeah, but now you're having to say to them, like, yeah, there's a charge associated, and earlier you mentioned like
Very little though.
yeah, maybe that has to increase. So how are you thinking about that?
Well, how has it gone? It's a fun journey, right? And it's like it kind of completely changed the game for the company as well, in terms of like, I mean, Virginia knows I'm a sales liability, right? Like, I need to be controlled. But basically, we're a bunch of like enthusiastic hackers that, you know, you give us an interesting problem, we'll solve it for you, and then we might remember to ask you for some cash at the end, right?
You're not going to pay us?
Yeah, so wow. So like that's changing, and I think that has been like also a bit of a cultural evolution for us at the company, and like making sure we're a bit more street smart when it comes to what we do and how we do it. Has been a long journey, like also educating the industry, like, you know, open source does not mean free. It means that, you know, you have a way out. It means that you can keep us accountable, but you'll still end up paying money maintaining servers, you know, paying the people who maintain those servers. So there's always a cost associated with software maintenance and so on. That's been a journey to like kind of like make sure people understand that, because open source originally was like, wow, what's this communist software? What is it? No. So that's been fun. We've also started being a bit more smart around what we develop. So actually we keep some of the stuff. We're building essentially proprietary crust around our open source core, which we're charging for. So this is stuff that, you know, some of the things that changed, at least from a product and engineering kind of money.
Yeah, and I think it does help add sometimes some discipline and guidance on what we build too, right? When you're kind of going, hey, I have to go back to the customer and say, I can build this, and like, what value does it deliver to you, right? Is it just something that's kind of cool, or that maybe you'll use once a month when you're in a bind and need to get something from Rhino over into Revit, or is this going to be something that delivers daily value to the entire organization? And we were meeting with a prospective customer today, and they think a lot about ROI, right? And like, that's when you have those conversations when you're spending money on something, right? I think when things are free too, sometimes there's this like perceived lack of value, and so I think it's actually allowed us to have much more meaningful conversations with customers too around what's really going to drive impact at their business.
Yeah, mine's going to get super excited now because you mentioned ROI.
Well, a little bit about a little bit about that. So you went on one of
the customers want to talk about it, okay?
I mean, that's, we as well. To a certain level, we all here for money. To a certain level, I'm saying. Okay, so on one of the slides you mentioned that you are enterprise ready.
Yeah.
What does it mean for you and the customers?
Yeah, well, for the customers, it means that, you know, now we're a mature company. There's a bunch of like, let's say, safeguards in place around like security, data management.
What do they value the most, like on enterprises, in terms of?
I think that's a lot. Like I completely underestimated that at the beginning. I pushed it off as much as I can because it's a lot of boring work originally. Like it's not cool product.
It's like SOC 2.
Yeah.
You know, it's like security. I mean, when you're a data platform, right? It's SOC 2 certification. It's knowing we can spin up in one of their regions. Like this is, I think it's a little bit different sometimes than like, well, I guess consumer apps, you have to be safe with your data too. But I mean, AEC firms are
It's a different game. Yeah.
So, well,
How have you seen, like, being European-based, lot team here? Is it like, is there challenges with selling into US market there? I know it's a few people we spoke to, Canada, Suffolk from Boston. Is there a challenge associated that you found so far, or maybe the product is so good that it just doesn't matter?
So usage is global from that point of view, and selling into a US market, actually it's like cliche statement, but easier than into European markets, just because I think the US market is maybe more digital mature, but also like maybe other cultural factors, like, you know, there's more risk appetite, there's more, you know, drive for innovation. That in a sense, yeah, maybe speaks bad for the continent, but it's kind of how it looks like.
I find some no major challenge.
Yeah.
Sure, on answer your question. But I'll pick up on the presentation. What I also liked, I actually have a question about this, was markups. You are introducing markups next year at some point.
Oh yeah, Cat 1 specifically.
Yep, I had to add that in. Sorry. Yes. Sharp eyes, yeah.
Would you have these markups once someone does the markups? Would they become objects at some point that you can maneuver, put in the model?
I think right now they're just at 2D overlay, but yes, they can become 3D. Like, I think maybe Motif is doing some of that. Like, without the value of that UX overall, it's a bit unwieldy. The intention with markups, it goes back to kind of accessibility and engaging with a wider audience. Like, now you have your Revit models, you know, they're out of your Revit file. Anybody can look at them in a browser. Like, every architect's third instinct is like, I'm gonna redline this.
So Miro is also quite cool, yeah?
Absolutely.
Tell a bit about that.
Oh wow, that's like, I think, soul-searching conversation, because you know, you yap a lot about data, you talk, oh yes, meaningful, object-based, open source, so there's all this philosophy, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly you can embed a 3D model in Miro and the crowd goes, it's like,
I was actually surprised when I saw it.
It was really cool.
yeah. And then you're having like these questions like, what did I do? 3 years, PhD, things like this. Oh my God, you know, like Miro, yeah, just get 3D models into Miro. So there's a lot of that discovery, let's say, that we're still doing.
Yeah, I think that goes a lot back to the access piece, right? I mean, something that's interesting about, we talk a lot in AEC, I feel like, about, oh, you've got to get the, like, you know, 50-year-old project manager or, you know, principal at a design firm engaged. And that's partially what Miro and what Speckle, I think, is really unlocking. But today you also have the 22-year-old computational designer, or, you know, the guy who's joining a construction firm but knows how to code, or I don't know, is using AI to do it. And so I think it's a really interesting time in terms of, from my perspective, the tools that have, the digital tools that have grown the fastest in AEC are ones that are really easy to pick up, right? Someone was just telling me they like hate Bluebeam because it keeps, in a loving way, because it keeps like showing up like an octopus in their org, and all of a sudden, you know, they're needing to buy twice the amount of licenses at renewal. And Bluebeam, Procore, like, these are the tools that were easy to use and they got adopted. And now I think it's this interesting mix of, you need that, the intuitiveness, and then you also need the, not to use, I hope this isn't like a techie word, but like the composability that Speckle provides from a, hey, you can stitch this into everything in your ecosystem on the back end.
Okay, guys, ultimate question. Virginia, how are we going to scale Speckle to exit value?
Or IPO.
IPO, well, same.
Yeah, IPO all the way. I'll ultimately defer. So I just want to say another reason I joined Speckle is I think Dim's got a really big vision for the company, and there's definitely a belief that in a system that's broken, there's a big opportunity to remain independent and grow, and really grow into a generational type AEC company. And I think it all starts, like, not to sound too sappy here, but something that really stood out from a conversation we had this morning was just trust. The trust we build with our customers. The person said, hey, we are at a point where we kind of like have this super bad relationship with all of our vendors. And I think you hear that a lot right now. And we also hear it from our customers. There's just a lot of tool fatigue, and you hear all the time, right? AEC is a trust-based industry. And from an open source perspective, I think that's where we also have a really unique offering, is that we want to build, I think, an equitable business. We see a lot of room for both Speckle and our customers to win. And I think that's going to be really key for us, is that trust with customers. Dan, what would you add?
I'm going into VC pitch mode as well. Like,
Want to hear it?
so there's that part of the story as well, and it's also like AEC. You know, there's such a huge amount of things that get built out there. Like, we were just talking to someone today that they're building islands. You know, ports. We have people that build boats that use Speckle.
Yeah.
So there's all that. You know, essentially like the space of stuff that gets built in real life is really large. All of it is designed in 3D. We might not yet be relevant for things like automotive design or stuff, but like, you know, hey, there's a boat builder building like super cool yachts, which we will buy once we IPO. Right. Designing, you know, so
SpeckleCon 2030.
yeah, exactly.
Meet us on the yacht. Yeah.
Also, the opportunity is really big, right? And the space is really like, and there's a need for it as well. The problems are very similar at the end of the day. So, yeah.
Yeah, off we go.
Yes.
So maybe the last one from me, I guess. We'll go.
Lewis has one more.
If 44 is not sustainable, what is?
The 44.
Yeah. Subscription.
Right. Such a yeah. $44. Yes, I know.
I don't know where that came from.
From our pricing page, Virginia. Yes. It's a fun one because actually it's not sustainable, mostly because, you know, you can be paying us $44 a month and like literally shove every single project you've ever done in the history of your company inside Speckle. So
Lots of value.
you get out a lot of value and our cloud costs go crazy. So ultimately that's why we're now figuring out like kind of the best way to have that. And as Virginia was saying earlier, like we cannot piss people off, because if we piss them off, you know, there's the open source Speckle out there. They're just gonna ride into the sunset without us. So we're having this like kind of honest, meaningful conversations with people and seeing out like, hey, okay, what is fair? What is the ROI that we're producing? How much of that can we take back and reinvest in this?
And how do we make sure you actually realize that ROI? I think that's, in my past life, you know, pre-Speckle, pre-Autodesk, I think we had this, at Unify, we had this term of journeying with a customer. There's so much in AEC, you sell the deal and they sign the line, and that's actually when the real work begins, right? Is everyone is way too busy to sit there and adopt a new tool. And we hear this from our partners at customers every day. They're like, I love this. I just, you know, I got to make sure that when I put this in front of my team, it's so easy that it's, you know, it's actually faster than the workflow that they know and love. And so I think that's something, as we're thinking about ROI and pricing, it's software, and our customers also need services and they need our know-how, right? We've done this before and we've seen it done. And so you guys might not have the whole roadmap, and we can help you there.
Yeah. Cool. Man, I think you should do something really cool live on air. Last thing. Selfie of everyone.
Okay.
Selfie.
Clean the.
It's clean. It's the front camera.
Let's do
Oh
it.
yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Always.
Now, do we need to
From
huddle?
there, yeah.
Okay.
Everyone in.
Then, yes, with that.
That's right.
Yeah, let's.
Oh, wow. Yes. Cool kid.
Okay.
Cool shit.
Okay, we got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We
Yeah.
enjoyed
you.
it.
Our pleasure.
Thanks.
All right. See you soon, Ian.
Good.
Thank you. I owe you a demo.
You owe me.